I've had the opportunity to scale this e-commerce brand to $462,481 per month in revenue exclusively using Google Ads. And in this video, I want to take you inside this brand and dissect the exact strategy we're using to make this happen. Now, before we get into the actual nitty-gritty details of the strategy, let's take a step back and understand this brand on a fundamental level. This is an automotive e-commerce brand we have been working with since September of 2023. But if we look at the Shopify backend from October all the way up to April 30th of 2025, or we can even change this to the current time period when I'm recording this video, which is May 28th. We can change this to May 27th, go all the way back to basically the month of October, and look at this brand from that point on until now. We can see that overall, the trajectory of this brand has been absolutely insane since that time period. It has been able to achieve a very, very significant amount of scale overall during this time period, roughly $14.8 million in revenue in total. We started working with this brand around September and October of this time period of 2023. So we have been able to scale it tremendously during this time. But exactly what did we do to make this brand scale to this level of revenue in this period of time? And the strategy overall has been very simple from the get-go. In fact, during this time, in the last 30 days, we're running at a 14.19x ROAS with a total of just, as we can see, a select few campaigns, roughly 8 different campaigns running at this point of time. So 8 campaigns resulted in about $500,000 in total revenue. How are we able to make this happen? Well, first and foremost, this brand is a very, very competitive brand within its niche. It sells very specific car parts and accessories. For example, things such as tires of a specific car model, things such as specific car parts, engine parts, etc., so on and so forth. And because of this, we're able to hone in on the exact keywords that people would be using to buy products from this brand, because it's so specific. You cannot literally put the wrong part on your car itself, because it's just not going to work out as it should be. So essentially, that made it a lot easier for us to scale this brand. Now, this brand does have a fairly decent average order value of roughly $337. And the biggest part for this brand, the main reason why this brand is able to scale to these levels, is because if we look right here, the last 30 days returning customer rates, it's roughly 59%. And this has been fairly consistent throughout the last few months, which means a very, very large portion of the individuals that shop with this brand end up coming back to purchase again. And this is a crucial moving part of Google. 95% of brands don't even look about it. And here's the interesting thing. When we first began with this brand back in 2023, September, during that time, we can see the scale was fairly low. I mean, if we go back to the start of 2023 and look at it all the way up to basically even the start of September of 2023, we can see that overall this brand did not have too much scale in play during this time. And that was because a majority of these sales were word of mouth. That's simply how they were scaling during this time. But we were able to transition this brand from just relying on word of mouth, no ads at all, just organic traffic, word of mouth, people talking about this brand, to then implementing a Google Merchant Center, establishing the brand as a Google Ads authority, and eventually ranking among some of the biggest brands in the world within this niche. This was why it took so long, but the results have been catastrophic from this time period until now, basically, when we are still working with this brand to this date. So it's all about implementing the right approaches, all about implementing the right strategies to essentially make this level of scale happen. As we see right here, if we come all the way to right now, May, when I'm recording this video, and then we can change this time period to, again, the 27th, we can get a clearer idea of how things have been since October. It has gone to over $13 million in revenue. If we compare it to the previous time period, it's up 87% in total revenue from the gross sales. So the brand has been able to achieve significantly. This is just one of the many brands, by the way, which we have been able to scale to these levels under my Google Ads agency, Euro Marketing, which, by the way, if you run a brand doing $50,000 or more per month in revenue, you want to scale to the very next level with Google Ads, go onto my website at euromarketing.com and schedule a completely free call with me, and let's see how we can potentially work together and make that happen. But now let's go into the actual Google Ads strategy and understand what we have in play, why we have it here the way it is, to then figure out what caused it to do so well. first and foremost, when we were developing this strategy within the last 90 to 180 days, what we understood was that we were working with two major goals that the brand owner wanted to achieve. Goal number one, they wanted to keep things stupid simple. What this means is we had already, back in when we first originally started, we had already tried a bunch of different strategies. We had already tried doing a multitude of different strategy campaign types that involved a lot of belts and whistles. And all we ever came to the conclusion during that time was a lot of these extra belts and whistles just don't work long term for this brand. As you can see, a lot of these campaigns, which were originally running during that time, have long been shut off. Roughly 50 campaigns were running during this time. We were able to shut it down and just cut down the entire BS to just about 8 different campaigns running. That's because this brand had consistently reacted well to a simplistic approach. So an approach where we make it so that the products are properly segregated. And by the way, there's over 40,000 SKUs here. So it was not an easy task just going from 50 campaigns to 8 different ones, but it was necessary because we had to hone in on the specific products which were doing better than others. We had to make it so that the algorithm knew exactly what the proper product segregation should be, which product should be focused on, which product should not be focused on, etc. So that allowed us to kind of bring down the overall big approach from a bunch of different campaigns, a bunch of different things going on at the same time, to just about 8 different campaigns running. And the second main goal which this brand had, which we were, by the way, able to achieve in the last 30 days, was to make it go past $1 million in total revenue. And we actually blew through it, crushed it simply in the last day, because we did $116,000 on May 26th, and we ended up at $1.1 million in total revenue with a few days left for May to end. So this was one of the best months this brand has ever had in the last 10 to 20 years it's been in business. But this Google Ads campaign strategy was developed based on these two goals in mind, and I call this strategy the trial approach. Now, this trial approach essentially is very simple. It's called the trial approach because it focuses on 3 major campaign types: performance max, standard shopping, with a little bit of sprinkled in between. And the reason why the trial approach works so well is because we are able to not only utilize Google's smart bidding algorithm, Google's smart bidding systems to go after the main products and to go after shopping, which is where majority of the people within this niche shop on for their products, but we're also able to add in a lot more data through the keywords that we find very, very quickly through our search campaigns we have running. So at this point of time, we just have this one major worldwide search campaign running, but it's designed to go after certain branded keywords and a little bit of cold traffic. The reason why we have mixed both of these up is because the budget for this is a very, very small. It's $200 a day, but it's not even spending anywhere close to that. As you can see in the last 30 days, it's barely spent $341. But it has been very profitable, has a 72x ROAS, and the reason why it's barely spending anything is because we're very strict with the bids. As you can see, the bids here are barely 34 cents for an average order value, which is over $388. So because of that, the keywords that we are ending up targeting within the search campaign are very, very high quality, top of the funnel keywords, which are allowing the other campaigns that are not search campaigns to feed off of that data, to become smarter based on that data. This is where so many brands go wrong, which I constantly audit under my agency, where they think that just having PMAX is good enough, or just having standard shopping is good enough, or maybe even just having search is good enough. And this could not be further away from the truth, because the trial approach forces these 3 campaigns to work in conjunction, to work together as complements to each other, to then make the whole account smarter. And when your whole account is becoming smarter, when you're getting a lot of keyword data that's high quality data through the door, that's when you're able to maintain a 14x ROAS and beyond at a level of scale. And by the way, all of these campaigns are heavily focused on cold traffic. So right now it's about 80% cold traffic, 20% retargeting. So because the 14x ROAS is not because we're heavily focused on retargeting over here. But this campaign strategy right here, at least with the Performance Max, is designed to go after a broad range of products. You could even call this the testing campaign. This is something that I developed myself. It's called the TPS approach, which stands for testing, profitability, and scaling. The T portion of the TPS approach is basically getting fulfilled by this Performance Max campaign, which is spending the most amount of money in the last 30 days. And the main role of this P PMax campaign, if we go inside, go to the product section, is to just test individual products. As you can see, we have tested some approaches here within the asset groups where it's feed only. We all are also testing something where it's not a feed only with a few assets added in between, because we figured out that amongst the feed only versus non-feed approach, the non-feed is actually doing better for this brand, which is why that's the only one running at this point of time. But last 30 days in total, we're only looking at the products which are eligible. Out of 44,000, 39,000 SKUs are within this campaign getting tested at this point of time, because the rest of the around 6,000, 5,000 SKUs are in the other campaigns which are focused on the standard shopping approach. And that is because these products and the collections that they're within showed better signs than the other ones which are getting tested. As a result, we wanted to kind of scale them separately. Now, in this situation, we decided to scale these via standard shopping campaigns because we wanted to be a bit more granular. We wanted to maintain a bit more control than what a Performance Max campaign gives us. However, it's completely fine to be trying to segregate out your best-selling collections, best-selling products into Performance Max campaigns, and then scaling them based around those Performance Max campaigns. In this situation, we just wanted to take a little bit of a different route, and it's working extremely well for us. But the key here, it's not the exact campaign types you are running with, rather it's the strategy behind the campaign types. Proper product segregation, and we're segregating out these standard shoppings based on individual subcategories of the product, sub-product models, which is allowing us to focus on each one separately with certain bids, with certain kinds of approaches, and it's letting us be a bit more granular in terms of A/B testing, testing out different landing pages, different experiments for the actual bids, so on and so forth. And that's really what's allowing us to consistently scale this brand month over month. I mean, again, if we look at the last 12 months, it's been a very consistent period of growth overall in terms of gross sales. There have been a few ups and downs, but overall it's been in the upwards trajectory, at least in the recent time period. And now we're already above $1.1 million in total revenue. But now to kind of add in the final nail in the coffin, so to speak, we're adding in an international scaling campaign, which is this one right here, running at a 16x ROAS already. It's a Performance Max campaign, fully cold traffic. And because we have so much data within this ad account, because we've spent so much time building up a strong product feed, the foundation, etc., we're able to scale so aggressively even to the international market. So now, not only is this brand a US authority-based brand, it's now expanding with that same level of authority outside the US. And the benefit is the average order value outside the US, it's even higher, almost 2 times, because we're charging extra for shipping. But here's the key thing. Because we have so much authority, because we focus so much having the right ads with high perceived value, making it different from our competitors, making sure reviews are there on the Google Merchant Center, and all of these things, all of these nitty-gritty details, we're able to scale so aggressively without sacrificing any of our profits. And now we have just unlocked a new avenue of growth for this brand. So again, the trio approach along with the TPS approach is what we implemented here, and it's working like a charm, which goes to show you the more simple your approach is, the better it's going to work. We can scale to almost $500,000 a month in revenue just with 8 campaigns. And that's the key behind Google Ads. Keep it stupid simple, and then give Google Ads the right kind of key points, trigger points, by having proper product segregation, by ensuring that you are not confusing the algorithm on a great level. But if you run a brand doing $50,000 or more per month in revenue, you need some extra help scaling to the next level with Google Ads, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a completely free call with me, and let's see how we can potentially work together and make that happen.